Hey everybody. Well, can you believe it? The end of the semester is almost here. And I know that partly because I'm getting a lot of questions about the final assignments in the class. And I'm not going to stop responding to individual questions, but I want to provide a little bit of an overview of some common questions that I get, and also based on things I've seen over the last couple semesters, which would probably be a signal that I should rewrite some of the explanations for the final assignments. So for MRP 5, your objective with that assignment is to write out the particulars of how you would go about conducting your proposed study. You don't actually collect any data, so you don't have anything to analyze. So you won't have a results section in MRP5 or MRP6. So in MRP5, you should have a general introduction to your general methods, so your research design. Have a section about your sampling procedures and be very specific. Same thing goes with data collection and data analysis techniques that you would utilize in completing your study. So for example, if you're conducting an experimental study and it's a paired participants or paired subjects type of research design, provide specifics. What does that mean? How would you go about constructing a sample? How would you choose individual participants? So remember, there's a difference between sampling and participant selection and participant assignment within the sampling context. For data collection, what would you do in that experimental study? Would you use observations? Would you do some sort of pre-test versus protest, not protest, post-test approach? And then how would you analyze the results? Would you use some sort of statistical test to look at variances, so maybe an ANOVA? The author, Macmillan, points to what some of those tests would be, but doesn't go into great depth because that's not the focus of his book and also not the focus of our course. So that means do a little searching. What does ANOVA mean? If you're doing some other type of quantitative non-experimental study and you're wondering how do two things relate, how do two variables relate, that's generally analyzed using a correlation, looking at relationships. So be specific. So you've noticed that outside of the reading quizzes or the module quizzes for the content of that module, we don't have exams in this course. That means that the MRP, particularly MRP 4, 5, and 6, are our means of assessing your understanding of the content of this course. So particularly with MRP 5, you need to demonstrate that you understand some of these key topics that we've addressed in this course. So again, sampling, research design, data collection techniques that are appropriate for your chosen research design, and data analysis techniques that would be appropriate for the research design and data collection methods. One of the things that is noted for you to address, I think it's an MRP 6, is to think forward. What would limitations be of your study? So one of the ways to think about limitations are some of those threats to validity. So generally threats to validity represent limitations for a study. So think through that. And again, not everything is applicable to every research design. So if you look at the outline that's out there in the instructions for MRP 5, you're going to see a topic listed and in the parentheses says, if applicable. If you're not sure, please ask me. Send me an email. That's going to be the best way, or give me a call. If you submit something on Canvas and then post a comment, there's not a guarantee that I'm going to see it in a timely fashion because I do a weekly digest for Canvas updates. Otherwise, each update coming into my email box individually, there's a better chance of it getting lost. So as you have questions, whether or not, okay, is this piece applicable to me? I'm doing a qualitative study. What do I do with variables? I'll give you a hint. Nothing. You have no variables in a qualitative study. So I just want to emphasize, ask questions. You're never burdening me with any questions that you would ask. My job is to be here to help guide you through this course and to answer questions as you have them. Sometimes I provide a really quick answer. Please don't interpret that as me being frustrated with you for asking a question. I just want to make sure that I give you the answer that you need without you having to figure out the answer from a paragraph long response. So if you get a quick response that's short, that's the answer. If that answer isn't clear, ask for clarification. Again, you're never a burden to me. It's my job, and I enjoy doing this job. I enjoy helping you. I enjoy watching your progress as you move through the course. On the MRP, so now MRP 6, you're going to take the pieces of the MRP that are in traditional paper format and put them together. So MRP 1, the introduction. What's your motivation for this particular topic? What's your research question? What's some of that underlying information that you provided in MRP 1? Then move into MRP 4, which was the literature review. You are copying and pasting, making corrections based on comments that I provided, and then moving on. And then the next big piece, you'll take MRP 5, and after you submit it, so you'll submit it on this coming Sunday, April 23rd. I will give you feedback as quickly as I can next week. I'm going to be out of town on Monday and Tuesday, but I might have time to sit down and start working through those, because I want you to get that feedback quickly so you have plenty of time to make adjustments, ask questions in preparation for a submission of MRP 6. So you put in MRP 5 into MRP 6, and then you'll have your reference section, and then you'll have an appendix where you explain point by point how you've addressed feedback. So even if there was feedback from MRP 2 and MRP 3, so MRP 2, remember, was the literature search, and MRP 3 was the outline. Feedback from those likely helped you produce MRP 4. Address all of it. It's important, because again, this is MRP 6 is really the piece for how we assess your learning in this course. So you want to be explicit in how you've made adjustments throughout the semester. In the case that I provided feedback for you to directly address. If you're confused about any of the feedback that I provided, or if you want to ask, hey, you made this comment, I think this is how I should address it, is this right? Please ask. If you call me and ask that, recognize I'm probably going to have to look up your MRP submission, whichever one you're asking about, and take a look at it and talk through it with you on the phone. If you email me, I'll be doing the same thing, but just keep in mind that I don't remember everybody's individual submission. I do have to look things up. So MRP 6, it's those pieces. It's the text from MRP 1, the text from MRP 4, the text from MRP 5, your reference list, and then an appendix that explains how you've addressed feedback. That is MRP 6. And also don't forget a cover page in APA format. And yes, APA format does matter. And if you're confused, or if you've been flubbing something up with APA and I've given you feedback and you still don't understand, ask me, please. I cannot stress that enough, how important it is that if you don't understand, it's important to ask, because I want you to be successful. As much as possible, I want everybody to have the opportunity to earn the grade that they want to earn in this course. And so I say much as possible. If a student doesn't put forth the effort, then there's only so much that's possible. And then the other piece is the presentation. So you know the videos where I'm asking you a comment, you can't respond to me. So you can nod if you want to right now. Remember the videos throughout the course that I hope you've watched, where there's a PowerPoint and I'm doing a voiceover of it? Do that. And so in the MRP 6 presentation link or description, I've got a link to something called Screencast-O-Matic. That's actually how I'm recording this video right now. You're free to use that. You're free to use anything. You can use the audio record function within PowerPoint and upload your full PowerPoint that has audio on each slide. Whatever works for you. When you have questions like, okay, I've never done a voiceover, I don't even know where to start, what do I click on, how do I add audio to a slide, ask. I've got other resources to share. I just don't want to overwhelm anybody by putting too many options out there, or somebody feeling that they have to use all of them somehow. No, don't do that. So your PowerPoint should provide basically a recap. What's the study all about? What's your personal interest or impetus for wanting to conduct that study? Give me a snapshot view of the literature. So what are the main areas of literature that you address? Not article by article. I don't want 10 slides or even 10 bullet points on a summary of every article. That's not what you need to do. think thematically. What are the ways in which those articles are connected? And so describe the literature review in that way. Then some slides about your research design, your MRP5. So what is the research design? Again, name it. What's the sampling procedure? Be specific. Remember, Macmillan has a whole chapter on sampling where he talks about probabilistic versus non-probabilistic sampling techniques. So name them, get into specifics how you would collect data. If you think that the best way to get at the heart of what your research question is to administer a survey, describe what that survey would look like. Again, you're not actually sending out the survey, you're not collecting data. The purpose of this is for you to write a research proposal to demonstrate the competencies that we look for in this course. Then get into a little bit some specifics about what data analysis techniques you might use. So if it's a survey, are you looking at, is it a descriptive study? And so you would rely on descriptive statistics. Are there elements where you would want to see, is there a relationship between how someone responds on some sort of scale item versus in connection to some demographic category? So maybe that's a correlation. So we start to tip into some inferential statistics in that realm. So a broad overview. Then a slide on what you see as the limitations. So again, are there validity concerns that present as limitations to the study? Are there sampling elements that would lend themselves to being a limitation? That's something that Macmillan addresses at different points throughout the book. So there are some limitations with different sampling techniques. Sorry, a bug just flew in my mouth. And so draw on those. Be specific, but don't go too deep with the PowerPoint. Total length of recording time, like 10 minutes, probably, maybe. This is not intended to be an arduous exercise. This is just an opportunity for you to gain practice in a different type of presentation medium. It's a different experience recording a voiceover PowerPoint than giving a presentation in class. I actually script out what I say for the most part for those. When I'm talking to camera like this, I don't script anything. As you can tell, I've got a few uhs and ums here and there, but that's part of it. It's part of the experience of working in online medium. So that as an online course, I want you to have a little bit of that practice. Then the other piece of the presentation is develop some sort of handout. I describe it as a poster. It doesn't have to be a poster type of thing. It can be a handout. It should not be some sort of printout of your slides. It should basically be a one-page visual. What are the key points? What are the highlights of your proposed study? Again, there's no results section for anywhere with anything for this because you don't have data to analyze, and so you would not have results. So that's kind of everything in an overview perspective of what's in terms of those big MRP pieces that are left with MRP5, MRP6, and then the MRP presentation. As you have questions, again, ask. This is probably the 10th time I've said it in the span of 13 minutes, but it's really important. I hope you've enjoyed the course. This is not the last time you'll see or hear from me this semester, but always like to put that out there.